As I mentioned earlier, this year we have had to resort to 5 separate convocation ceremonies to accommodate the awarding of more than 1,500 degrees, diplomas, and certificates. At this, the end of another eventful and busy year in the life of Newfoundland's University. The procession now coming onto the stage is composed of student representatives and alumni, faculty members representing every department and school within the university, members of the Board of Regents, vice presidents and deans, officials of government, honorary graduates, and finally, the President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Leslie Harris. Dr. Desmarais, the University Chancellor, is unfortunately unable to be present this year at Convocation. The degrees to be awarded this afternoon are the undergraduate degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Music Education. The graduate degrees are the Master of Arts, Master of Philosophy, Master of Social Work, and the Doctor of Philosophy. The honorary degree of the Doctor of Laws will be conferred on Emile Joseph Benoit, well-known Newfoundland fiddlist of traditional music. The entire procession coming onto the stage now is under the direction of the Marshal of Convocation, Professor Jack Facey of our Faculty of Engineering. Following the singing of the anthem, Dr. Harris will declare Convocation open and then call on Dr. Cyril Poole to report to Convocation. Dr. Poole, of course, is principal of Sir Wilfrid Grenfell College in Corner Brook.
I bid you all a warm welcome to this, the second section of our convocation. I now declare convocation open, and I call upon Dr. Cyril Poole, principal of the Grenfell College, Corner Brook, to report to convocation. Vice Chancellor, the Chairman of the Board, members of the Board of Regents, members of the Senate and faculty, honored guests, members of the graduating class, ladies and gentlemen. As Woody Allen students will know, since the 5th century BC, philosophers have been urgently debating the mind-body problem. That is, the question of which of the two it is better to have, a mind or a body.
All of you, except a handful of philosophy majors, will be relieved to know that I am not now entering into that vexed debate. For the purposes of discussion, I am assuming that it is good to have both a body and a soul. My question is the simpler one of the financial cost of the upkeep of the mind, or, as I choose to call it with Plato, the soul. Everyone, even university students, knows that the upkeep of the body is a costly business. Like a codfish, the human body can survive only within limited temperature ranges. When, for example, the temperature falls, the body can survive only in a very costly greenhouse, often simply called a house. Not only that, it also requires fuel for its internal furnace. Meat and potatoes, fish and brews, and on special occasions, jelly and blancmange. However you look at it then, the body is a very costly item in the total cost of living. I am not, Mr. Vice Chancellor, arguing that it would be not better not to have a body at all. All I'm saying is that if you want one, you have to budget for its upkeep. Is this also true of the soul? It all depends. The soul, unlike the body, can survive on nothing, and certainly on less than 6 cents a day. No matter how severe the malnutrition, unlike the body, the soul does not actually die. If then it is just the continued existence of the soul that we are concerned about, it will cost not a penny to keep one, and certainly far less than the body. That's good to know when the cost of everything else is going up. Although, unlike the body, the starved soul does not die, undernourished, it becomes pale and puny, narrowed and crippled into a poor specimen of its kind. The only way to keep it healthy and vibrant is to supply it regularly with nourishment hardly less costly than the body's, including those wonderful creations that are most characteristically human: the arts of Athens and Florence, the music of Leipzig and Vienna, the architecture of Lincoln and Salisbury, the poetry of Rome, Stratford, and Dublin, yes, and the creations of Mount Carmel, Arnold's Cove, Carbonear, and Corner Brook. In a word, the arts are to the soul's wonderful potential what meat and drink are to the good health of the body. Until recently, say 1800, the arts were sustained by private patronage, first by lodges, then by the church and guilds, and later by schools. When, with the democratization of the arts, along with the 3 R's, public patronage replaced dwindling private support, the universities became the natural heirs of guilds and schools. Since Yale University introduced the fine arts program just over a century ago, and Mount Allison the first Canadian BFA in 1937, many Canadian universities have established fine arts schools. It is, I believe, and I hope you all believe, it is cause for rejoicing that at a time when it is under increasing pressure to serve the ends of industry and commerce, that is to say, in the first instance, the needs of the body, that this university consciously rejects the view that it is better to have a body than a soul. From its founding, Memorial University has put increasing emphasis on the arts. Through its extension service, it has long encouraged and facilitated the work of individual artists and has provided for the instruction of the young in particular. St. Michael's Print Shop, Mon Extension Arts, Theatre are but graphic examples of its concern for the human spirit. In 1975, the university established the School of Music. Along with its program for talented young Newfoundlanders, the school has from the beginning served a wider audience. In staging many public concerts each year, through its dramatically successful Suzuki string program for children, and through its high-quality summer camps. In September of this year, the Sir Wilfrid Grenfell College in Corner Brook, a small village charming beside the Humber River, the college will admit its first degree students in theater and visual arts. And these will be admitted not only to the college and university, but to a new $7 million building whose design is worthy of its purpose. The immediate beneficiaries of the School of Music and of the Fine Arts School, for example, are of course the students. It was, however, for even a greater good that these schools were established, the enrichment of the lives of all Newfoundlanders. When the arts in our province are in the high summer of their bloom, this university will be proud to have scattered a few seeds. In closing, Mr. Vice Chancellor, we welcome this afternoon a very special guest, Mr. Emile Benoit, an inspiring example of the harmony of body and soul, on whom you are shortly to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. May I also congratulate the students who are graduating today. These are they, Mr. Vice Chancellor, who have come through great tribulations and who have now put on the robes of learning, if not of righteousness. They have come through hundreds of lectures with their minds still unimpaired. They have learned to snooze through lectures and convocation speeches with eyes wide open. Those of them who aspire to be university vice-chancellors or even presidents will find this skill of inestimable value. Above all, Mr. Vice-Chancellor, the class today have so honed their skills that they can write with elegance, with clarity, and at great length on subjects they know nothing whatever about. They have become academics. All of us in this convocation, parents, brothers and sisters, grandmothers and grandfathers, teachers and friends, wish them exciting challenges as they now go to the serious business of keeping body and soul together. Thank you.
We shall now proceed with the conferring of degrees. I suggest that unless some special circumstance is mentioned, the audience withhold applause until all candidates in each group have received their degrees.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, in the name of the Senate of the University, I present to you the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Honors in General, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Music Education. I have certified to the Senate that these candidates have fulfilled all the requirements pertaining to the degrees. I therefore request that you admit them thereto.
On the authority of the Senate, I, the Vice Chancellor, will now admit the candidates to the degrees of Bachelor of Arts, Honors in General, Bachelor of Social Work, Bachelor of Music, and Bachelor of Music Education, and confer upon them all the rights and privileges which belong thereto. I call upon them, on the hearing of their names, to present themselves severally before me to assume the hood appropriate to the degree.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts Honors, Earl John Burt, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in History, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in Religious Studies, and winner of the Harvey and Doris Murcell Scholarship in Religious Studies.
Earl John Burt is from Corner Brook.
Colette Michelle Goodyear.
Colette Michelle Goodyear from Mount Pearl.
Diane Elizabeth Hollett.
Diane Elizabeth Hollett of Mount Pearl.
Jacqueline Ruth House, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in English and winner of the Captain George C. Whiteley English Prize.
Jacqueline Ruth House is from St. John's.
John McKenna Kennedy.
John McKenna Kennedy is from Trepassey. The hood being placed by the Dean of Arts, Dr. Mike Stavely.
Philip Michael Rose, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in Philosophy.
Philip Michael Rose is from St. John's.
And those who have been approved by the Senate for the degree, but who are absent from this convocation. For the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Catherine Teresa Abbott.
Catherine Teresa Abbott from St. John's.
Annie Beryl Adams.
Annie Beryl Adams is from Deer Lake, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Leo Francis John Antle.
Leo Francis John Antle.
Trent Rodney Barrett.
Trent Rodney Barrett is from Bay Roberts.
Michael David Barry.
Michael David Barry hails from Corner Brook.
Bonita Ruth Batten.
Bonita Ruth Batten is from Foxtrap.
Valerie Elaine Batten.
Valerie Elaine Batten of Long Pond, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Gonzo Leslie Bennett.
Gonzo Leslie Bennett is from Stoneville.
Paul Charles Bennett.
Paul Charles Bennett of Gambo, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Mary Christine Biggin.
Mary Christine Biggin from Port Saunders.
Kenneth Robert Bowen.
Kenneth Robert Bowen hails from Pasadena.
Jacqueline Marie Brazel.
Jacqueline Marie Brazel from Renews.
Bernice Marie Brenton.
Bernice Marie Brenton of Wedgwood Park, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Annette Marie Broderick.
Annette Marie Broderick is from St. Brendan's.
Patricia Ann Buckley Brown.
Patricia Ann Buckley Brown of St. John's.
Richard Franklin Budgell.
Richard Franklin Budgell is from Northwest River.
Robert Bugler.
Robert Bugler from Bail-Argent, receiving the Bachelor of Arts.
Rosemary Dorothy Ann Burke.
Rosemary Dorothy Ann Burke is from St. John's.
Clayton Stanley Burry.
Clayton Stanley Burry hails from Norman's Cove.
Ernest Derrick Butler.
Ernest Derrick Butler is from Clarenville.
Jacqueline Dawn Butler.
Jacqueline Dawn Butler from York Harbor, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Lindsay Heber Butler.
Lindsay Heber Butler from Bonavista.
Christina Butt.
Christina Ann Butt from Island Harbor.
Roxanne Denise Button.
Roxanne Denise Button of Mount Curl, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Carol Ann Byrne.
Carol Ann Byrne is from St. Brendan's.
Paul Richard Byrne.
Paul Richard Byrne of St. John's, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Glenn Robert Cake.
Glenn Robert Cake of St. John's.
Gerald Norman Carter.
Gerald Norman Carter is from Wabash.
Jennifer Ann Carter.
Jennifer Ann Carter from St. John's, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Ruby Wanda Carter.
Ruby Wanda Carter, also of St. John's.
Stephen Boyd Cater.
Stephen Boyd Cater is from Grand Falls.
Carol Ann Chafe.
Carol Ann Chafe of the Goulds, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Charles Gerard Cheeseman.
Charles Gerard Cheeseman from Rushoon.
Cam Phi Barry Chow.
Cam Phi Barry Chow from Yuen Long, Hong Kong.
Darren Stephen Chubbs.
Darren Stephen Chubbs hails from Kelligrews.
Janice Dale Clancy.
Janice Dale Clancy is from Campbellton.
Diana Lynn Clark.
Diana Lynn Clark of St. John's, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Ellen Maria Cody.
Ellen Maria Cody hails from Harbor Grace.
Bronson Lorne Collins.
Bronson Lorne Collins from Hare Bay.
Robert James Collins.
Robert James Collins is from St. John's.
Grace Mary Connors.
Grace Mary Connors of St. John's, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Regina Marie Connors.
Regina Marie Connors of St. John's.
Laura Mary Cooper.
Laura Mary Cooper is from Bay Roberts.
Viola Marie Corrigan.
Viola Marie Corrigan from Trepassey, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Carol Ann Costello.
Carol Ann Costello from St. John's, BA degree.
Sheila Maureen Crocker, winner of the Governor General's Medal, awarded to the undergraduate student with the highest standing in the graduating class, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in Political Science, and winner of the French Ambassador's Prize.
Sheila Maureen Crocker is from Corner Brook.
Janice Marie Daly.
Janice Marie Daly of Admiral's Beach, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Charmaine Davidge.
Charmaine Davidge is from Pools Cove.
Valerie Peggy Daw.
Valerie Peggy Daw from Pilley's Island, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Barbara Jean Decker.
Barbara Jean Decker from Ship Cove, Bachelor of Arts.
Michael Gerard Doucette.
Michael Gerard Doucette is from Agasuna.
Cynthia Bell Downton.
Cynthia Bell Downton hails from Lewisport, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Susan Maria Doyle.
Susan Maria Doyle from St. John's.
Aidan Warner Drover.
Aidan Warner Drover is from Upper Island Cove.
Robert Todd Evans.
Robert Todd Evans from Windsor, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Ethel Elaine Farrell.
Ethel Elaine Farrell from Marystown.
Marlene Ann Farrell.
Marlene Ann Farrell from St. George's.
Sandra Ann Farrell.
Sandra Ann Farrell from Marystown, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
William Joseph Farrell.
William Joseph Farrell from Marystown.
David Fillier.
David Fillier from Roddington.
Jane Marie Fitzpatrick.
Jane Marie Fitzpatrick of St. John's.
Valerie Margaret Flight.
Valerie Margaret Flight from Buckens.
Maxine Rita Foley.
Maxine Rita Foley from Tilting, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
James Darrell Fost.
James Darrell Fost of Corner Brook.
Elizabeth Fowler.
Elizabeth Fowler from St. John's.
Bernadine Fraser Rideout.
Bernadine Fraser Rideout from Corner Brook.
Ford Charles Freak.
Ford Charles Freak from Jobat's Arm.
Mary Catherine French.
Mary Catherine French of St. John's.
Glenda Michelle Dorothy Garland.
Glenda Michelle Dorothy Garland from Harbour Grace, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Sandra Ann Gogol.
Sandra Ann Gogol of St. John's.
Stephen Anthony Goss.
Stephen Anthony Goss, also of St. John's.
Catherine Elizabeth Gray.
Catherine Elizabeth Gray from St. John's.
Clyde Charles Green.
Clyde Charles Green from St. John's.
David John Green.
David John Green comes from St. John's, receiving his Bachelor of Arts degree.
Mary Catherine Gregory.
Mary Catherine Gregory, also of St. John's.
Dave Griffiths.
Dave Griffiths from St. John's.
Brenda Bernadette Grimes.
Brenda Bernadette Grimes comes from Herring Neck.
Jacqueline Fatima Has.
Jacqueline Fatima Has from Brent's Cove.
Gloria Ann Hackett.
Gloria Ann Hackett from Terranceville.
Ignatius Columbus Hall.
Ignatius Columbus Hall of Cornerbrook, receiving his Bachelor of Arts degree.
Carl Richard Hanrahan.
Carl Richard Hanrahan of St. John's.
Paula Diane Hayden.
Paula Diane Hayden from Mount Pearl.
Nancy Ruth Healy, winner of the Berks Medal awarded for leadership in student affairs.
Nancy Ruth Healy from St. John's.
Michael Joseph Henley.
Michael Joseph Henley is from St. John's.
Gail Marie Hickey.
Gail Marie Hickey comes from Avondale.
Susan Catherine Hickey.
Susan Catherine Hickey from Gander.
John Gordon Hicks.
John Gordon Hicks of Grand Falls for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
Scott David Hillier.
Scott David Hillier from Paul's Cove.
Dora Ann Hinton.
Dora Ann Hinton from Ottawa.
David John Hodder.
David John Hodder from Kelligrews.
Lisa Dawn Hodge.
Lisa Dawn Hodge is from Gander.
Karen Roseanne Hollett.
Karen Roseanne Hollett from Lewins Cove.
Edward Howell.
Edward Howell from Northern Bay.
Gerarda Marie Hunt.
Gerarda Marie Hunt is from Port-au-Port, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Heather Susan Hunt.
Heather Susan Hunt from Cornerbrook.
Gary Wayne Hussey.
Gary Wayne Hussey of Bell Island.
Robert Stephen Hussey.
Robert Stephen Hussey is from Cornerbrook.
Adrian Joseph Hines.
Adrian Joseph Hines from St. Philip.
Sharon Marie Hines.
Sharon Marie Hines, from Port-au-Port.
Janet Elaine Inkpen.
Janet Elaine Inkpen, from Chamberlain, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Una Mary Hines.
Una Mary Hines.
Nancy Inder Roberts.
Nancy Inder Roberts, from Grand Falls.
James Jan.
James Jan, of Toronto, receiving the degree for the Bachelor of Arts.
Deborah Gale Jarrett.
Deborah Gale Jarrett, of St. John's.
Ramona Ann Jordan.
Ramona Ann Jordan, from Ferryland.
John Edward Kavanagh.
John Edward Kavanagh is from St. John's.
Morris James William Kavanagh.
Morris James William Kavanagh, of Mount Pearl.
Bruce William Keating.
Bruce William Keating, from Corner Brook.
Arnold Gerald Kelly.
Arnold Gerald Kelly is from Manuels, receiving his BA.
Martin Francis Kenny.
Martin Francis Kenny, from Mount Pearl.
Myra Angela Bird King.
Myra Angela Bird King, from Placentia.
Kelly Ann LaCour.
Kelly Ann LaCour, from Holyrood.
Mary Joanna Lang.
Mary Joanna Lang is from St. John's.
Laura Deanne Laracy.
Laura Deanne Laracy, from Conception Harbor.
John William Lavers.
John William Lavers, from St. John's.
Maxwell Anthony Lawler.
Maxwell Anthony Lawler, from Labrador City, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Paul Joseph Leclerc.
Paul Joseph Leclerc, from St. John's.
Maisie Janice Leto.
Maisie Janice Leto, from Winterton.
Mary Catherine Lewis.
Mary Catherine Lewis, from St. John's.
Leanne Chin Lim.
Leanne Chim Lim, from Malaysia.
Roseanne Linehan.
Roseanne Linehan is from Mount Pearl.
Paul Clarence Lingard.
Paul Clarence Lingard, from Bishop's Falls.
Heather Ruth Lockhart.
Heather Ruth Lockhart, from Fredericton, New Brunswick.
Kenneth Douglas Lodge.
Kenneth Douglas Lodge is from Labrador City.
Charles Patrick Lundrigan.
Charles Patrick Lundrigan, from Witless Bay, receiving the BA degree.
Hugh Peter McGuire.
Hugh Peter McGuire, from St. John's.
James March.
James March is from Baie Verte.
Elizabeth Michelle Marks.
Elizabeth Michelle Marks of Corner Brook.
Nancy Susan Marsh.
Nancy Susan Marsh from Grand Falls.
Susan Mary Marshall.
Susan Mary Marshall is from St. John's, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Randolph Jeffrey Maven.
Randolph Jeffrey Maven from Fortune.
Walt Gregory Maven.
Walt Gregory Maven, also from Fortune.
Gregory Robert McCarthy.
Gregory Robert McCarthy hails from Corner Brook.
Paul Gerard McCloy.
Paul Gerard McCloy of St. John's, the hood being placed by the Associate Dean of Arts.
Joan Mary McHugh.
Joan Mary McHugh from Fox Harbor.
John Patrick McDonald.
John Patrick MacDonald of St. John's, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Christine Malloy.
Christine Malloy of St. John's.
Sarah Ann Moore.
Sarah Ann Moore of St. John's.
Louise Gabrielle Hawthorne Moyes.
Louise Gabriel Hawthorne Moyes of St. John's.
William James Mullally.
William James Mullally of St. John's.
Mary Dorothy Murphy King.
Mary Dorothy Murphy King of Fox Harbor.
Darren Michael Murphy.
Darren Michael Murphy from Corner Brook.
James Paul Murphy.
James Paul Murphy of Long Harbor, the hood being placed by Dr. Gordon Jones, Assistant Dean of Arts.
Kenneth Gerard Murphy.
Kenneth Gerard Murphy of St. John's.
Carol Ann Myers.
Carol Ann Myers of St. John's, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Robert Joseph Myers.
Robert Joseph Myers is from Chapel Cove.
Anita Hogan Noonan.
Anita Hogan Noonan is from Northern Bay.
Tina Louise Norman.
Tina Louise Norman is from Windsor.
Daphne Elizabeth Noseworthy.
Daphne Elizabeth Noseworthy of Corner Brook.
Colleen Mary O'Brien.
Colleen Mary O'Brien of St. John's, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Anne Marie Elizabeth O'Keefe.
Anne Marie Elizabeth O'Keefe from Gander.
Patrick Joseph O'Toole.
Patrick Joseph O'Toole from Conception Harbor.
Elizabeth Jill Osmond.
Elizabeth Jill Osmond of Labrador City.
James Lloyd Osmond.
James Osmond of Gambo.
Wayne James Osmond.
Wayne James Osmond of Gambo.
Randall Austin Pack.
Randall Austin Pack of Paradise.
Judy Marilyn Payne.
Judy Marilyn Payne of St. Paul's Inlet.
Thomas Grant Payne.
Thomas Grant Payne of Cox's Cove, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Cheryl Lynn Penny.
Cheryl Lynn Penny hails from Corner Brook.
Evelyn Louise Penny.
Evelyn Louise Penny from Springdale, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Rita Mary Penton.
Rita Mary Penton of St. John's.
Glenda Lillian Pike.
Glenda Lillian Pike from Carbonear.
John Paul Pitcher.
John Paul Pitcher is from Placentia.
Gwendolyn Corella Pittman.
Gwendolyn Corella Pittman is from Fortune.
Wayne Norman Pittman.
Wayne Norman Pittman from Belburns.
Thomas Wade Pope.
Thomas Wade Pope from St. John's.
Leon Cova Porter.
Leon Cova Porter is from St. John's.
Adrian Michael Power.
Adrian Michael Power from Calvert.
Robert Douglas Purchase.
Robert Douglas Purchase from Corner Brook.
Jacqueline Margaret Pinn.
Jacqueline Margaret Pinn, also from Corner Brook, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Paul Francis Quigley.
Paul Francis Quigley of St. John's.
Heather Muriel Elaine Reed.
Heather Muriel Elaine Reed of Dildo.
Sean Douglas Reed.
Sean Douglas Reed from Shoal Harbour.
Roger Gordon Robbins.
Roger Gordon Robbins from St. John's.
Kimberly Ann Roach.
Kimberly Ann Roach of Branch.
Eric Rose.
Eric Rose from Grey River.
Catherine Glenna Rossiter.
Catherine Glenna Rossiter from Gander, receiving the BA.
Mary Lou Russell.
Mary Lou Russell is from Stephenville.
Brenda Helen Sears.
Brenda Helen Sears of St. John's.
Leo Patrick Shallow.
Leo Patrick Shallow from Bishop's Falls.
Floyd Scott Sharp.
Floyd Scott Sharp of Stephenville. Catherine Ann Shea.
Catherine Ann Shea from Carbonear.
Leslie George Shepherd.
Leslie George Shepherd from Jacques Fontaine.
Wendy Priscilla Ann Shepherd.
Wendy Priscilla Ann Shepherd from St. John's.
Nizam Shirazi.
Nizam Shirazi from Tehran, Iran.
Karen Ann Shirley, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in Canadian Studies.
Karen Ann Shirley of Mount Pearl.
Kevin Scott Short.
Kevin Scott Short from Springdale.
Gina Darlene Smith.
Gina Darlene Smith from Manuel.
Joanne Margaret Smith.
Joanne Margaret Smith from St. John's, receiving her Bachelor of Arts degree.
Peter Clifford Smith.
Peter Clifford Smith, also from St. John's.
Virginia Clarice Smith.
Virginia Clarice Smith from Random Island.
Kimberly Wanda Stockwood.
Kimberly Wanda Stockwood from Mount Pearl.
Beverly Janet Doreen Stone.
Beverly Janet Doreen Stone from Random Island.
Karen Marie Stone.
Karen Marie Stone from St. John's.
Clifford Paul Stratton.
Clifford Paul Stratton from Corner Brook.
Gary Dale Sullivan.
Gary Dale Sullivan is from Portugal Cove.
Leonard Arthur Taylor.
Leonard Arthur Taylor from Briquette.
Michael Llewellyn Toop.
Michael Llewellyn Toop from St. John's, receiving his Bachelor of Arts degree.
Martin Lucas Urbens.
Martin Lucas Urbens from Toronto.
June Nadine Vey.
June Nadine Vey is from Long Beach.
Stephen Donald Edward Walters.
Stephen Donald Edward Walters from St. John's.
Alvin Way.
Alvin Way of Flowers Cove, Bachelor of Arts degree.
Judy Linda Wells.
Judy Linda Wells of St. John's.
Jacqueline White.
Jacqueline White is from Grand Bank.
Stephanie Joan White.
Stephanie Joan White from St. John's.
Jacqueline Catherine Whittle.
Jacqueline Catherine Whittle from St. John's.
Kelly Ann White.
Kelly Ann White of St. John's, receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree.
Peter John Wheeler.
Peter John Wheeler of Wabush.
Brian Alphonse Woolridge.
Brian Alphonse Woolridge is from Corner Brook.
And those who have been approved by the Senate for the degree but are absent from this convocation. for the degree of Bachelor of Social Work.
The hoods in this instance will be placed by the director of the school, Dr. Frank Hawkins.
Mary Brothers Hodder.
Mary Brothers Hodder of Long Harbor, Bachelor of Social Work degree.
Carolyn Lorraine Bruss.
Carolyn Lorraine Bruss of Churchill Falls.
Deborah Ann Burton.
Deborah Ann Burton from St. John's, Bachelor of Social Work.
Julie Nora Chason.
Julie Nora Chason of Codroy Valley.
Denise Ann Cronin.
Denise Ann Cronin is from Kellergrude.
Cheryl French.
Cheryl French of St. John's.
Carol McDonald Giovannini.
Carol McDonald Giovannini of St. John's.
Mary Christine Glynn.
Mary Christine Glynn of St. John's, Bachelor of Social Work degree.
Michelle Regina Green.
Michelle Regina Green of St. John's.
Karen Marie Hillier, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in Social Work.
Karen Marie Hillier from St. John's.
Pauline Deanne Hines.
Pauline Deanne Hines from Corner Brook.
Brian Francis Kenny.
Brian Francis Kenny of Corner Brook, Bachelor of Social Work degree.
Dorothy Edwina King.
Dorothy Edwina King hails from Portugal Cove.
Marilyn Little.
Marilyn Little is from Amherst Cove.
Susan Ellen Mercer Thornhill.
Susan Ellen Mercer Thornhill of St. John's, Bachelor of Social Work degree.
Maureen Frances O'Rourke.
Maureen Frances O'Rourke comes from Gander.
Ruth Mary Parsons.
Ruth Mary Parsons of Pasadena.
Gail Helene Porter.
Gail Helene Porter from Wabash, Bachelor of Social Work.
Diane Mary Power Jeans.
Diane Mary Power Jeans from Corner Brook.
Nancy Rhonda Elizabeth Roberts.
Nancy Rhonda Elizabeth Roberts of St. John's.
Gail Doreen Simpson.
Gail Doreen Simpson from Manuels.
Viola Marie St. Croix.
Viola Marie St. Croix from Labrador City, Bachelor of Social Work. Sandra
Voisey Penny, winner of the Newfoundland Association of Social Workers Student Award.
Sandra Voisey Penny is from Mount Pearl.
David Patrick Walker.
David Patrick Walker from St. John's, receiving his Bachelor of Social Work degree.
And those who have been approved by Senate for the degree, who are absent from this convocation. For the degree Bachelor of Music,
The hoods will be placed by Dr. Don Cook, Director of the School of Music.
Walter Douglas John Jameson.
Walter Douglas John Jameson of St. John's, Bachelor of Music.
Agnes Miriam McCarthy.
Agnes Mary McCarthy.
Karen Marie Neary.
Karen Marie Neary of St. John's.
Christine June Pippy.
Christine June Pippy of St. John's, Bachelor of Music.
James Douglas Roberts.
James Douglas Roberts from St. John's.
Sarah Louise Smith, winner of the University Medal for Excellence in Music.
Sarah Louise Smith from St. John's.
Michael James Tucker.
Michael James Tucker, receiving the Bachelor of Music degree.
And those who have been approved by the Senate for the degree, but who are absent from this convocation. For the degree Bachelor of Music Education,
The hoods in this case are placed by Dean Karagianis, Dean of the Faculty of Education.
Walter Douglas John Jameson.
Walter Douglas John Jameson of St. John's, now receiving his Bachelor of Music Education degree.
Agnes Miriam McCarthy.
Agnes Mary McCarthy, Bachelor of Music Education.
James Douglas Roberts.
James Douglas Roberts of St. John's, Bachelor of Music Education, having just received the Bachelor of Music.
Michael James Tucker.
Michael James Tucker, now receiving his Bachelor of Music Education degree.
And those who have been approved by the Senate for the degree, but who are absent from this convocation.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, in the name of the Senate of the University, I present to you the candidates for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Philosophy, Master of Social Work, and Doctor of Philosophy. I have certified to the Senate that these candidates have fulfilled all the requirements pertaining to the degrees. I therefore request that you admit them thereto.
On the authority of the Senate, I, the Vice Chancellor, will now admit the candidates to the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Philosophy, Master of Social Work, and Doctor of Philosophy, and confer upon them all the rights and privileges which belong thereto. I call upon them, on the hearing of their names, to present themselves severally before me to assume the hood appropriate to the degree.
For the degree of Master of Arts,
The hoods will be placed by the Acting Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Christopher Sharp.
Marilyn Jane Knight Martin.
Marilyn Jane Knight Martin from St. John's, Master of Arts in History.
And those who have been approved by Senate for the degree, but are absent from this convocation.
Admitted in absentia.
For the degree of Master of Philosophy, James Garfield George Moore.
James Garfield George Moore of St. John's, Master of Philosophy, English.
the degree of Master of Social Work. Catherine Walsh Foster.
Catherine Walsh Foster of St. John's, Master of Social Work.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Jack William Botsford.
Jack William Botsford of St. John's, Doctor of Philosophy in Earth Sciences, Geology.
Rosario Briones Urbina.
Rosario Briones Urbina from Quito, Ecuador, receiving her Doctor of Philosophy in Medicine.
Elizabeth Ann Miller, winner of the Dean of Graduate Studies Award for Thesis Excellence.
Elizabeth Ann Miller of St. John's, Doctor of Philosophy in English Language and Literature.
Chintalapati Venkata Prasad.
Chintalapati Venkata Prasad from Andhra Pradesh, India, Doctor of Philosophy in Physics.
Harold Scott Swindon.
Harold Scott Swindon of St. John's, PhD degree in Earth Sciences, Geology.
And those who have been approved by Senate for the degree but are absent from this convocation.
Admitted in absentia.
So now follows the conferring of the honorary degree on Emile Benoit.
We shall now proceed to the conferring of degrees honoris causa.
University Registrar Glenn Collins will present the candidate.
For the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, Emile Joseph Benoit.
Mr. Benoit is being escorted by Professor Jack Facey, the Marshal of Convocation. University Orator Anne Stavely will make the introduction.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, listen while I tell you a fabulous tale. It is not a tall tale. It is not a lying tale. It has no classification. It has no number, but it is true. Once upon a time, not so long ago, a fisherman lived in a wild and beautiful part of this country where strangers seldom came. By day, the fishermen hauled their nets, catching the codfish that brought life to the people. And by night, they listened to the music and the stories from Brittany and Acadia that brought life to the people. Times were hard for the men and women living on the Port-au-Port Peninsula, but their music had the power to set their hearts free. Now, the fisherman's secret wish was for a son, to help him with his work and his music. And it came to pass that his wish was granted. His wife gave birth to a son, and they named him Emile Joseph Benoit. Their joy was great, but the child was sickly and small. They did not know that he was Fortune's favorite, so they asked the wise doctor what to do. He said, "There is only one way to save the life of this little scrap. You must wrap him in soft white wool and lay him near the stove for 18 days. They did as they were told, and Emile grew to be the liveliest boy under the sun. But though he was a good and happy boy, Emile had one regret. He did not have a real fiddle, to play the tunes his father loved and that Emile could hear in his heart. But in those days, he lived in a place where wishing still helped. For it happened, one fine day, his Uncle Jean brought him a fiddle, a gift beyond compare. As if by magic, Emile began to play, and his fame as a musician spread. Whenever there was a wedding, a party, or a time, the people would send for Emile. And music was not his only gift from God. Whenever people were sick, they would call on Emile to bind their wounds, ease their pain, and even born their babies. Many years passed, and Emile was content with life, in the land he knew well, with his family and his friends. But far away, on the mainland, news of Emile's fame had reached the ears of a wizard of entertainment, a man who could obtain the news of most things through the air. His name was Peter Zosky. He went in search of this remarkable musician, and in the far distant country called Newfoundland, he found Emile sharing his talent with the young men and women of the country. But he found they had strange and wonderful names. Figgy Duff, Three-Turn Tunes, Tickle Harbour, Barking Kettle, and the wonderful Grand Band. Everywhere he went, the wizard heard of Emile's adventures, how he charmed the people of great cities, making them dance and sing, how politicians, concert masters, even university professors were changed by his stories and his songs, and how his music had turned strangers into friends in faraway lands where they ate green rice and alligator pie. The wizard wanted to learn the tricks of Emile's power, so he went to a learned scholar, who himself came from a land of minstrels and princes. The wise doctor told him, "Ça vient de cœur." His music comes from the heart. If you live with the people, work with the people, share their joys and griefs, and have faith, you too will find the expressive patterns that give meaning to life. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, although this narrative is no fairy tale, for Emile Joseph Benoit, musician, storyteller, ambassador of the Franco-Newfoundland culture, is before you. Nevertheless, will you, as godfather to these rites of passage, grant the traditional 3 wishes? Firstly, by honoring Emile, will you also honor his people, les Français de Terre-Neuve, whose cultural and linguistic integrity has enriched our province? Secondly, by paying tribute to Emile, will you pay tribute to all the people of this province, whose beliefs, language, and customs have enriched the research archives of this university? And thirdly, by recognizing Emile Benoit's innate talent, his natural accomplishments, his wise and loving spirit, will you acknowledge that these are the personal, individual qualities that enrich all communities? Mr. Vice-Chancellor, in the time of Homer, the Greeks made gods of the musicians who healed their spirits and their bodies. I ask you merely to make Emile Joseph Benoit a doctor of laws honoris causa of this university.
Get their hood first. By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Now you can execute. Yellow Jack.
A standing ovation for Emile Joseph Benoit. Through his talents as a performer of traditional fiddle music and a teller of folk tales, Emile Benoit has become a well-known ambassador for Newfoundland. He discovered the fiddle during his childhood in the Port-au-Port area, and by the age of 16, he was the acknowledged local master of the instrument as both a player and a composer.